Some people out there want to know, when do I cut off the people that I love? Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's family. When do I cut them off? Stay tuned to this video and listen to my breakdown.
Cyrus, Ausar.
People ask me, when do I cut off those that I love? Like, I realize that some people around me is toxic. My relationship is toxic. Whether it is with my boyfriend, girlfriend, mom, dad, sister, brother, etc. When do I cut these people off? Because I realize that they're not helpful to my life. Well, let me give you a few breakdowns. Let's start with relationship. You'll realize when to cut that person off when you don't feel that they making a commitment to your life. And I'm not saying equally, because we all gonna feel like I care about you more than you care about me type thing. I mean, when it gets to a point where they're no longer concerned about your feelings or anything. They're not even willing to communicate with you. They're not willing to meet you nowhere, no nothing. And you get to a point where it feels like you just got this huge weight on your back every time you interact with this person you're in a relationship with. It feels like you pulling teeth on a lot of stuff, and then you respond to things and they don't even care. It's like it's no emotion whatsoever to care about what you're going through. It's like they don't want to meet you nowhere, and they're uncompromising on all aspects of everything, to a point that it becomes toxic to you. Because this is an energy thing. When you wake up and you thinking about this person and they not thinking about you, and I can't say that you know that 100%, but I'm saying we feel that way based on the lack of effort. And you feel that all the time. I can't tell you to break up with somebody, but I'm just giving you the signs. It's times that you can recognize when you need to separate yourself, because you got to understand your value. Understand your value is through the roof. God took his time when he made you. So understand your value is through the roof. So if people don't understand that value as far as a relationship, then at times you have to find somebody that will understand that value. Now, I'm no relationship expert. I'm just giving you some game on value. So that is one of the things that you have to do when you potentially want to cut off somebody you love as far as a relationship. You evaluate, do they give you the appreciation that you feel like you need? That is an indicating factor on when you may need to cut somebody off. And it's very challenging, because you may spend a lot of time with them, and you look at the highs and you look at the lows, you look at the in-betweens, you look at this, then you can evaluate a whole lot. But in the reality of the circumstance, you'll realize that this person really ain't for me. And you can ask yourself some real questions. You can ask yourself questions like, do I really see myself being with this person for the rest of my life? And that's a real question that I know you can answer within yourself. And this happens to a lot of us, where we be like, I really can't see myself with this person. Now, it's cool being around them and it's fun, but having a kid with them, oh no. And that's what can happen on accident as you stay around this person. Could I see myself introducing this person to my family or whatever the case is, and you be like, no, and you start checking these no boxes a lot, although you love them? You have to evaluate yourself, because you may have grew in your self-understanding to a point that you no longer accept the things that you once accepted. So that's what happens with us all. So you have to evaluate that. Let's move on to family. You look at your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, or whatnot. I don't know if I want to necessarily say cut them off, because everybody's relationship is different with their mom and dad. So you have to evaluate that part on your own. But what I will say is this. If you realize that it's toxic every time you talk to your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or whoever it is, and you realize that it's toxic to a point that it's really affecting you, you have to change how you deal with them. And under certain circumstances, that might mean cutting them off. It might mean cutting them off. But I don't want to be the one to tell you to cut off your mom. That's the reason why I'm saying it like this, because I know it's a case-by-case basis. What I'm saying is, you may look at this person and be like, yo, every time I interact with them, my life is terrible. They don't see things as I see it. They don't move the way I move. They don't understand the things that I'm trying to do or whatever. And it's just making my life way harder. Then you evaluate how you deal with them. And let me give you some breakdowns. If you talking about your business moves and you trying to grow and you want to go to college and you want to do all this and do all that, and the people in your family can't identify with it, so therefore they're negative and they send you all this bullcrap, you can start saying, I'm not about to talk to them about certain stuff. When it comes down to anything that's going to advance me and they can't identify with advancement, it's no need to have an advancement conversation. Because only thing that's going to come from it is negativity, which we don't feel like dealing with. So that's how you can deal with some of those people. If it's just beyond toxic to a point that you recognize it, like, yo, there's no healing this, then you may need to cut it off. Unfortunately, but it's the reality of the circumstance, at least till you get to a point that you can deal with it, or you can separate yourself to a point you can stand on your own ground to accept their behavior patterns. Because I've seen that happen where people be like, I'm not dealing with my mom until I get into a certain space where I can deal with her. Because she want to tell me who I can marry, where I can go, how I can do this, blah, blah. I don't have no time for none of that. We got too big of an age gap to a point that I don't identify with your structure no more. The world doesn't identify with your structure. So I'm going to look at it a little differently. And that happens. It happens. I hate to even say it like that, but it happens to a point that you feel like I need to get away from my mom. And the last is friends. Out of the three, all of them is challenging, but out of the three, the family, the friends, and the relationship, friends is the easier of the three. Because I know it's tough because we go through a lot with our friends. We grow up with them and we can know them since the first grade. And now we 30. We've been around them since the first grade, but things can happen and you can grow differently. The reason why I say friends is a little different because time typically equates emotion. And you can be around this friend and you realize how toxic they are, but they've been your friend for a while. What happens is things happen to separate y'all. Because as you grow, you're going to grow mentally and you're going to grow in all these different walks of your life. And you're going to realize that it's just not meant to be. Because let's just say you start exercising and eating healthy. And you say, listen, I'm not having no unhealthy things in my house, period. And as your friend come over, they're bringing Pop-Tarts and Skittles. You're like, I don't want none of that because it tempts me. So keep all that out my house. What'll happen is they'll start showing up a little bit less. If you start saying, you know what, I want to partake in these things that's going to grow me, and they don't want to grow, they're that toxic person, what will happen is you'll start taking off and they'll remain where they are. You start saying, you know what, I want to go here. They don't really want to go. You're going to realize you're going to start acquiring different friends and he's going to separate on his own. As long as you growing, then they're going to show that y'all are not in the same realm per se. So you don't necessarily have to cut the friends off per se. You just got to continue working on yourself and let the chips fall. That honestly can be said for all of them, but it's a little different with blood because like our mom and dad or brothers and sisters grew up with us in a different form. And it's a little bit different with relationships because that's an intimacy involved sexually or whatever the case is that kind of intertwine us differently than friends. But friends is tough too. I don't want to act like it's easy. It's tough too. But let me say this. With our friends, what will happen is you won't have to cut them off. As you work on yourself and you grow, they will cut themselves off. If you recognize the toxic behavior, what'll happen is you'll want to start communicating a lot less with them. It will just happen naturally. So you don't have to necessarily put your foot down and say, you know what, I'm done with this person. You can really look at the circumstances and just grow. Work on yourself. Go off to college. Go do this. Go try and achieve this goal. Go do whatever. And as that happens, you realize if that person is a true friend for you. You don't have to necessarily cut them off. They cut themselves off. And if they are a true friend, then obviously y'all don't need to even hear this part. So this is how we learn when to cut people off. Is just evaluate what works for us inside of our bodies, inside of our minds, inside of our spirituality or emotionally, or all the leads, as I say, and realize if this person is compatible for your style of living. That's a relationship, that's your mom, that's your dad, that's a friend. And at the end of the day, you got to keep you happy. At the end of the day, is you on that pillow with yourself and your thoughts. So if you ain't happy dealing with the people around you, you have to figure out ways that you can deal with them in a way that makes you happy, period. Thank you for taking out the time to watch this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to get a shirt or a hat or one of my books, do so in the description box below. Also, thank you for reaching out to me on Instagram, all the messages y'all send me, all the titles, topics that y'all give me. I'll truly appreciate it and continue doing so. Thank you. My name is Cyrus Ausar, and my mission is to decrease depression and prevent suicide by boosting self-awareness. The goal is to be better than you were yesterday and apply that mentality every day, growing to greatness.